In the quiet countryside of northern England lay a small village called Roven's Hollow. By day, it was nothing extraordinary. Rolling green fields, cottages with smoking chimneys, and winding lanes where children played without care. But at night, the place seemed to hold its breath. Shadows grew longer, the air colder, and a silence spread that felt heavier than darkness itself. At the edge of Raven's Hollow stood hollow graveyard. The iron gates were rusted, the gravestones crumbling, and the once majestic mausoleums now broken shells covered in ivy. Even the bravest villagers avoided it after sunset. Whispers spread that the graveyard was cursed, that the souls of the damned roamed freely when the moonlight touched the graves. Many swore they had heard voices in the wind, calling out names. A few even claimed that those who dared to walk the graveyard at night were never truly the same again. Among the villagers lived Ethan, a hard-working carpenter, and his wife Clare, a kind-hearted woman with a gentle spirit. They had been married for just 2 years, and their love for each other was the only light they needed in their modest life. But one night, everything changed. Ethan and Clare had attended a distant cousin's wedding in a nearby town. By the time the celebration ended, it was close to midnight. The road home was long and winding, but there was a shorter path, a footway that cut directly past Hollow Graveyard. Clare clutched Ethan's arm nervously. "Please, Ethan." "Not through the graveyard. You know what they say." Ethan laughed softly. "Come on, love. It's nothing but old stones and tales to scare children. We'll be home faster this way." The moon hung low, bathing the world in a pale silver light. The graveyard loomed ahead, its crooked crosses and cracked stones casting jagged shadows. The air grew colder as they entered. Trees stood like skeletal guardians, their branches swaying as if touched by unseen hands. Halfway through, Clare stopped abruptly. Her voice trembled. "Ethan, look at my shadow." Ethan turned his eyes downward. His own shadow stretched long and clear across the ground. But Clare's, her shadow was faint, almost fading, as though some unseen force was draining it away. A chill surged through Ethan's veins. Before he could speak, whispers rose all around them, at first soft, then louder, overlapping one another in dreadful harmony. "Clare, Clare." 7 voices, men, women, children, each calling her name in a tone that sent ice into the marrow of Ethan's bones, twisting into a grotesque smile that did not belong to her. When she spoke, her words came layered with many voices. "Run, Ethan." The sound was unbearable, like 7 souls speaking at once. Ethan's heart thundered in terror. He lifted Clare onto his shoulder and ran, the whispers following, the graveyard air howling behind him like a pack of predators in pursuit. By the time they reached their cottage, Clare had collapsed into unconsciousness. Her skin was cold, her breathing ragged. Desperate, Ethan summoned the village doctor. After examining her, the man shook his head gravely. "This is no illness. What holds her is beyond medicine. You must go to Father Mallister." Father Mallister was an aged priest who lived in seclusion at the old chapel in the forest. Many said he knew the old rites of exorcism, prayers whispered in Latin that could cast out the darkest forces. Some dismissed him as a relic of superstition, but Ethan, with no other hope, carried Clare in a cart through the woods that very night. On the journey, Clare stirred. Her voice shifted between hysterical laughter and guttural screams. At times she spoke in strange languages Ethan had never heard. Her eyes changed, sometimes blood red, sometimes ghostly white. Ethan wept as he held her hand, caught between love and terror. The chapel was small, lit by candlelight, the scent of incense thick in the air. Crucifixes lined the stone walls, and in the center stood Father Mallister, tall but stooped with age, his eyes burning with quiet authority. He looked at Clare and immediately knew. His voice was steady. 7 souls dwell inside her. They are the lost ones of Hollow Graveyard, the damned who were never laid to rest. Her fading shadow made her vulnerable. She became their vessel. Ethan's lips trembled. "Can you save her, Father?" The priest nodded grimly. "I will try. But the struggle will not be hers alone. It will be yours as well." He placed Clare at the center of the chapel. Around her, candles burned in a circle. He began chanting in Latin, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Exorcisote, omnis spiritus immund." At once, Clare's body convulsed violently. Her voice erupted in screams, laughter, and cries, 7 at once, overlapping, unbearable. The chapel shook with their rage. Ethan fell to his knees, praying desperately. Mallister continued, sprinkling holy water, pressing the crucifix to her forehead. The voices roared, "She is ours. She belongs to us." Suddenly, the priest brought forth a small iron idol shaped like a raven. "This shall be your prison," he declared. He chanted louder, his voice battling the cacophony of spirits. Black smoke began to seep from Clare's mouth, twisting and writhing like living shadows. With one final cry, the smoke rushed into the raven idol. Its eyes glowed crimson, and a piercing shriek split the night. 7 voices fused into one, echoing with eternal torment. The idol rattled violently in its chains, but Father Mallister bound it with holy seals and whispered, "The spirits are caged. They cannot roam free." For now, silence fell. Clare's body slumped, her breathing steady once more. Her eyes returned to their warm brown, though they were wide with fear. Ethan held her tightly, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you," he whispered to the priest. But Father Mallister shook his head. "Do not thank me yet. Evil can never be destroyed, only contained. Guard her well, Ethan. The 7 will hunger always." Ethan and Clare returned to their cottage. Though her life resumed, she was never quite the same. Nights were restless. Sometimes she swore she heard whispers in the wind, faint but familiar. Ethan never let her walk near Hollow Graveyard again. And yet, the legend grew. On moonlit nights, travelers swore they could hear the cry of a raven from within the graveyard, but it was no ordinary cry. It split into 7 distinct voices, wailing in unison, a reminder that the restless dead were still trapped, yearning to be free. The villagers spoke of it as a warning. Hollow Graveyard was not merely a resting place of the dead, but a thin veil between worlds, where fear and faith clashed eternally. As for Ethan and Clare, they carried on with their lives, but the memory of that night lingered forever, a shadow that could never fade. If this story chilled you, like the video, share the fear,